Thanks for checking out this video. So this is the 1991 installment of the 1990s horror movie superlative series I'm doing with your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. Just so you know, his channel is linked in the description here, so you know the drill. You watch my video all the way through, you watch his video all the way through, you get our picks that way and our justifications for it. Then you come back to my channel, go to the community tab, and you can vote there on whose picks you like the most, and we're doing that for every single year. And then we'll also have like an ultimate picks one at the very end that's a potential tiebreaker. So yeah, hopefully you have fun with it. Also, we love seeing the comments from everyone of what your picks are for each year, so please feel free to do that. You can give, kind of some explanations if you want, or you can just list them. However you want to do it, that is cool. We just like seeing it. Also, make sure you watch both of our videos for sure. We don't want people just voting because they like one of us. Vote based off of who makes the best picks, or whose picks kind of line up with your picks the most, or, something to that degree. It's, mainly just something we're doing for fun, but it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully you're enjoying it. Anyway, let's get into it for 1991 picks. The most amazing pick, Silence of the Lambs for me. Now, I know some people may be saying, yes, but this is a thriller. It's not really a horror film. I messaged with Uncle Pete about it, and we both agreed we are going to consider it a horror film. I do and have considered it a horror film. Many people do. A lot of people don't, and I'm sick and tired of people who just don't want to admit to liking horror films, saying that certain films are thriller or elevated horror because they think that horror is like a gutter genre. Obviously, Silence of the Lambs is an amazing film. It has a dude who's a cannibal. There's carnage in it. There's a serial killer who's keeping people in a basement. Like, it says horror so much in this film. Sure, it's thriller as well, but horror. I don't really need to go over a synopsis of what this film is. I'm sure if people haven't seen it, they already know the story for it, but it is such a well-done film. The acting is top-notch, including Jodie Foster, who's amazing. Everyone points to, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter as well. I do kind of like Brian Cox's depiction of Hannibal Lecter a bit more in the movie Manhunter, which was really good. If you haven't seen that one, it's from the 80s. Check that one out. But great performances, really effective story. It's shot extremely well. It is an amazing looking film, and the tension, it oozes danger throughout the film. And that end scene, the amount of dread that you feel watching that film and how intense that final sequence is in the dark basement, especially when that night vision pops on, you know what I'm talking about. Oh man, it's an amazing film, hands down, masterfully done, and I'm sure not many people would really argue with me. Most amazing film for 91, The Silence of the Lambs. Now for my best so bad it's good, and I'm very excited to talk about this one, because I always am, I love it. I have chosen Popcorn. I love this film. I just recently saw it for the first time. I'd heard good things about it for a while. The first time I watched this film, I loved it. The second time I watched this film, while I was watching it, I went on my phone and purchased it because I was like, I just need to own this film. It is unbelievably amazing, and it is. It is literally about a bunch of students. This is shot in Jamaica, by the way, so there's a lot of reggae thrown in there, so that's kind of like a weird aspect to it. But it's about a bunch of students who are putting on a movie marathon at a theater with all these old, weird movies, but they're doing it William Castle style, so, like shocking people's seats and, dressing up in costume and having, doing acting and doing, bit parts about things that are scary, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun just to see that aspect of the film, but then there's some people getting picked off within the theater, and there's a whole, lore that kind of gets rolled up into it that I don't want to talk about too much, because if you haven't seen it, you should just experience it for yourself. But the main villain at the end, when that reveal happens, well, actually with the decent amount left in the film, like a half an hour or so, totally over the top, totally nuts, totally fun. It's a so bad it's good film for sure, because some of the acting's not so great. It's really wacky. It's all over the place. The writing's not great, but it is unreal how fun this film is. And I love how they did such a good job of capturing like a fun, upbeat party atmosphere for the movie marathon that's being done in the film. So I love it. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Popcorn, but it is the best So Bad It's Good film for 1991, and it's going to be a really strong contender for the entire 90s, I feel like. So that's my pick. Now on to the most WTF film. Now I'm going to go with Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker. I actually enjoy this film. It's not a great film. Someone could pick this as a So Bad It's Good, but the reason it's WTF is mainly because of the end of the film. The end of the film, with the big reveal at what's really at play here, like you see it coming, but the manner in which it's pulled off is ridiculous and over the top, and will definitely make you say WTF. Also, the death scenes in it will probably make you say WTF a few times because they're so ridiculous and kind of dumb. But the whole premise of the film, as it would say, The Toymaker, is basically about someone who's making toys that end up killing people. Obviously, it's Christmas related because it's a Silent Night, Deadly Night film. I actually like all the Silent Night, Deadly Night films except 3. I think 3 is awful. It's like unwatchable for me. It's unbelievably boring. But all the other ones I have fun with to varying degrees. But I like them overall. But I would definitely highly recommend Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker. Has Mickey Rooney in it, by the way, who after the first Silent Night, Deadly Night came out, he was one of the people hardcore lobbying out in public against it, saying this is an abomination, this is terrible to do this to Christmas. And then here he is starring in the 5th one. So how quickly people change their tune when there's money involved, right? But anyway, most WTF for 1991, Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker. Now going on to my best gore. I'm actually going to go with the 91 version of The Pit and the Pendulum. Now, this is a Full Moon Films film, and a lot of the times you think about them and you think just kind of like dumb, brainless, kind of ridiculous, So Bad It's Good type films. It's legitimately a pretty good film, and the performance of Lance Henriksen in this film is unreal. I mean, for any other reason, like, see this film for no reason other than Lance Henriksen's performance. It's insane how good it is. Oliver Reed ends up showing up in it in a small part, which I always love to see Oliver Reed. Jeffrey Combs is in it, which is wonderful. I believe it was directed by Stuart Gordon, actually. So if you like Stuart Gordon films, I mean, they're always at least good. But yeah, it's a really good film, and the gore, like the real hardcore gore, doesn't really happen till the end of the film, but it's done really well. It's pulled off really well. It looks pretty realistic and awesome. But also kind of rolling into that, there's torture involved in it because of, the storyline of, I mean, it's the Pit and the Pendulum. Like, it's literally the Pit and the Pendulum. I don't need to, like, summarize the story, but there's a lot of torture that happens in it. And I think that kind of rolls into not necessarily the gore, but the tone that is set for the terrible things happening to people, and it's disturbing. So I think they do a good job with that, plus the really good gore that they have at the end of the film. The other thing is, there wasn't a lot of great gore that I saw from 1991, to be honest. I was just kind of like, But, yeah, The Pit and the Pendulum, and one of the big reasons I put this in as a pick, too, is I wanted to talk about Lance Henriksen's performance and really encourage people, if you have not seen this, check it out. I think when this is coming out, it may still be on Shudder, so check that out. Now my most unique pick, which I think some people are going to scratch their heads at, but let me explain. I'm going for Ernest Scared Stupid. I love Ernest stuff, and I think Ernest Scared Stupid is a really good film because it works on multiple levels, and that's why it's so unique. It is an Ernest film, which is very wacky, ridiculous, over the top, and funny, but, kind of for younger ages. But it's also kind of scary for a younger person. The trolls in the film look scary. They're very snotty. They're very, they're oozing stuff. Their design is actually creepy and scary. The whole premise of, kids literally, these trolls show up in town and they're kidnapping kids, turning them into these little wooden figures and putting them in a tree where it's growing these disgusting looking egg sacs that end up birthing more disgusting, creepy trolls. For kids, it's scary and creepy, and I think it's a unique idea to take, an Ernest film and put it in Halloween setting, because it happens on Halloween, I think, as well. At least part of the film does. But I think it was super unique. I think they did a great job. Another fun fact about Ernest Scared Stupid, a few of the costumes for the trolls were actually repurposed head molds from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Because I believe the Kyoto brothers were involved in doing the effects, or the costuming, the practical effects for it. So yeah, you may disagree with this one, but I hope I find some other people who in comments will be like, I love Ernest Scared Stupid, and yes, I think it is unique, because I definitely do. It's an underrated film too. I could have seen people putting it there, but so most unique, Ernest Scared Stupid. Now going on to my most overrated, and that's gonna have to be Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Yeah, I have the DVD full collection of all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. First of all, I think that a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Streets would fall into the overrated category just because the fandom around them is huge. They're very well known. So by default, that kind of ends up happening. But this one is not great. Freddy's Dead has really lame kills in it, including the one with like him scratching on a chalkboard to like blow a dude's head up, and it doesn't even, like, the gore's not even good with that. It just kind of explodes and it looks like it's kind of bloodless. And that's the thing, like, they're really wussy on the kills in this. And here's the thing, when you've had a bunch of installments of a film in a franchise, you need to go bigger, especially when the story's not really there, and the story's not really there. This was also, deep into the era where Freddy's just mainly there for one-liners. He's more slapsticky, ridiculous, funny, over-the-top one-liner, as opposed to being actually like scary and creepy. So, yeah, it's just not a great installment. So, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare is my most overrated. So now my most underrated. Hopefully, this is one that people out there have actually seen because it deserves a lot of attention. And if you haven't, go ahead and search it out. That is Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. This is legitimately a crazy movie. I could see someone picking this for most WTF because there's a lot of wacky, crazy stuff that goes on in this film. It's literally about a guy and a kid who are trying to break into a house to steal some stuff. And the kid gets stuck in there, and then eventually the grown-up ends up going in as well. And the house is lived in by this very insane couple who has, like, hidden passages and all sorts of wacky stuff going on in the house. And as the title would say, there are literally people under the stairs. Like, they have imprisoned people living under the stairs. And the film is intensely done. It is kind of wacky at times, but in a very fun, upbeat way. And it has a pretty satisfying ending. It is a really good film. I don't hear people talk about it nearly as much as they should. People talk about a lot of Wes Craven stuff, and it's usually, Nightmare on Elm Street, or it's, Scream, stuff like that. And seldom is it The People Under the Stairs. But The People Under the Stairs, really good film. If you haven't seen it, definitely see it. So that is my most underrated pick for 1991, The People Under the Stairs. Anyway, those are my picks. Like I said, check out Uncle Pete's, check out mine. Well, you already checked out mine if you're at this point. Go to the community tab and vote for who you liked most. And like I said, put some comments down there and do it on his video as well. And do us both a favor. Hit subscribe for both of our channels if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell button for both our channels, and because we appreciate it, and that's your best way to repay us for doing this and to, help us out in our YouTube venture here. But anyway, regardless, thanks for being interested in the series and checking out our videos, and until next time, keep it brutal.